Very warm welcome to everyone, and especially Honorable Consul General Sir. Thank you very much for being here of a long day with us. And today our special guest, Ms. Julia-Niharika Sen. Julia, thanks very much for taking the time out for being our special guest on this day on the Wednesday Dialogue Series.
And thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, and all the audience who are seeing through Zoom, but also those who are seeing through YouTube Live. Also, very warm welcome. And not taking much of the time, I will kindly request Consul General Sir to welcome formally our special guest, and then after that, we will proceed with the dialogue series. Consul General Sir, floor is yours, please.
So, very good evening to all of you, all the listeners, and my warm welcome to Miss Julia-Niharika Sen. Actually, this Wednesday dialogue, I'm so happy that you are here. And we started, you are the second person, and we will love to know about you more. And Bala will be there to just ask you so many questions. Today it is the other way around. Normally you keep asking people, and but it is Bala. You are on the other seat, and your association with the Indian consulate has been very long, of course, coming from an Indian origin, and I know your father Mr. Tapan Sen very well, and you also moderated the India Week Hamburg. So we know you very well, and you are well-known personality. I'm so happy and proud that we have you here on this Wednesday dialogue. And without wasting more time, I would like to ask Bala, please go ahead and start the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot. And as always, I say, having an idea is one, but making sure it is realized. So thanks always for your support and encouragement. And certainly this is a milestone for the Consul General of India's initiatives. So Julia, thank you very much. And today, as you know, the structure of the interview, as I briefly, and also for the audience, so we will not have a monotonous interview like that. It will be very much as a dialogue. So we will have 3 to 4 blocks, so that each and every block after that we have some time, let's say 5-10 minutes for interaction with the audiences. So to make it also very participatory, I think that is also very important. So some of the things I could not follow it, or I don't have time in that. It's always important that others can jump into that and also make it pretty lively.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before, I think, yes, Julia, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Bala, and thank you everyone who's here now on Zoom with us. I know it's a marvelous evening in Northern Germany, maybe the last summer evening. We already talked about it before we went online. And yeah, I'm grateful for everyone who's here. And as you said, Mr. Consul General, normally I'm not used to be asked questions, but I'm the one who's asking the questions. I think it's a much more difficult position to be asked. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Go ahead, please, Bala.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So to start with, I think I'm not actually a friend of reading a bio profile or a curriculum vitae of someone. It's more to also have it quite lively from the guest itself, because then you have some information which is something you don't have it in just in a piece of paper. So Julia, we are all so interested. We know that you are born here in Germany, and you have been all your life has been here. And of course, in between, we will come back to that of your India part. But it will be very nice for us to know how was your early childhood, and what was your memory, because having a parent from Indian origin and Germany, and what are those things, how it was like, and what is can you tell also a little bit about your parents if you can, and also your childhood, how it was, so that, to have some initial startup, so that we get to know about you on that personal front, and then we can move ahead, please.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I was born in Kiel, a northern German town at the Ostsee, at the Baltic Sea. And I was born there because my mother, who's a teacher, she studied there. And my father came with her. They met in Hamburg Altona. My father sings a lot of Tagore songs. He always did. For me, he's the best singer I can think of. And they met when he was singing in Hamburg, and I think my mother still till today his voice touches her, and also the souls of our whole family. And when I was a child, India for me was the voice of my father when he sang those songs. And he came to India in 1960. Yeah, I can't make a mistake now. It's 64 or 65. It was before I was born, that I can tell. I was born in 67. And when he came here, he was one of the first immigrants. There came a lot of people from Italy and Greece, just I think 1 or 2 years before. But then the first people from India came, most of them to study here. And I know my father's from Kolkata, and he came here by ship. I mean, today people come by plane, but it must have been a long journey. And I know in my childhood, cooking was very important, what we ate, because my mother tried to learn to cook Indian food, and I remember that my father also started cooking. I know in India, when I was in India, and much later, I was in India the first time when I was 20 years, not as a child. But I know that Indian food is very important, and normally the women are in the kitchen. But in Germany, my father started cooking, and till today, he's my favorite cook. And he wrote Luftpostbriefe, which were letters by airmail to his mother. These little blue letters with this blue and reddish.
Right. Actually, it's called inland covers, and it's airmail. Actually, it is called. But actually, I want to interrupt at that point, because we were told the best thing that can happen is that when Julia is actually upset or stressed, or but when father's cooking is on the table, then she's absolutely then into it, and then after that she's such a friendly person. So how much is that for you? Yeah. How much is that your father's, because I think you have also said sometime that your father is the best cook you ever have had, and then it's something very special for you. What was that feeling, and how it was actually? Have you been in the kitchen with him?
Yeah, I've been in the kitchen with him. But the problem is, he always says, well, one day we go together into the kitchen and I'll show you how to cook Indian food. And but the problem is, if he's in the kitchen, he is so perfect in chopping everything, and he's just doing it all by himself. So I think interfering is not a good idea. So till today, I have not learned to properly cook Indian food, because he still does it too well.
So you could not match it to him at this point of time, maybe, but maybe a little later.
I'll work on it.
Right. Julia, coming back to that, how actually India was introduced to you? Because you were born here, as you said, in Kiel. Of course, a father is Indian origin, and but in early days, how it was for you? How India was actually into you, and what are the things that has been told, and how it was for you?
It was when I was, today it's pretty normal that you have, we then soon moved back to Hamburg, where my mother was born, or in the surroundings. And when I was small, I was the only kid in kindergarten or in elementary school. The only kid who had roots that were not only German. So sometimes I felt like other kids were kind of staring at me, or at least I knew I wasn't like everyone else. A lot of children were interested. Who are you? But as a child, it's not so easy to live in two worlds. I think also children today who come from foreign countries and are here, yeah, they have maybe problems to find their roots. Well, I had the German root through my mother and my grandparents, but it was not always easy. But just by pure chance, we lived in a house in Pinneberg, which is just outside Hamburg, and I sat on my swing in the garden. I had a swing of my own, and one day another child was sitting on my swing, and I said, "Who are you? Where are you from?" And she said, she was blonde, blonde and 5 years old, and she said, "I'm from India." And I said, "What? Please?" And her parents came from India and worked there in the 70s, and our parents became close friends. And since till today, she's my oldest and a friend, and a very close friend, Andrea Wolf, who wrote a book about Alexander von Humboldt, and she's a writer. She lives in London, but we're still very close. But through her, I experienced India, through the lens of people who lived there. She told me how India is when I was 5. That was really, really amazing. And apart from that, the first time I went to India myself was when I was 20 with my child. My daughter, she was 8 months old then. And my father wanted to show us the whole family in India. Like, I think we saw like 50 different people or even more. And we were a group with my sister and our partners. We were, I think, 8 people traveling 7,000 kilometers through India by train, by plane, by, I don't know. It was amazing. But it was, as you can imagine, it was a lot of new impressions to cope with.
That's right. So before we land in India, did you have a big Indian community where you were growing with? I mean, not for today, but at that point of time in Hamburg, for example, or back, how was it, the Indian community, and how you could relate? How the community at that point of time, and how is now, not only just in terms of numbers, but how closely knit and
Yeah, well, my father, you know him, he's a very social person. And already on the ship, when he came here, he traveled, I think, for 6 weeks from Mumbai, where he entered the ship, until to Genoa, where he got off board in Italy. I think he met a lot of people. And he was already then well known for his singing. And when I was a child, every time he sang somewhere, I met Indian people, and we already celebrated Diwali and pujas and other festivities with a little, I don't know if it was big or little, but it was an Indian community here in the diaspora. And I loved meeting the people. What I, as a child, sometimes I found that these festivities are very, very long, like hours of people talking and being together, and I loved it a lot. And I remember that Dilip Ghosh and Urona, from the consulate,
right.
they were there then. I mean, 50 years. Almost 50 years ago, that I met them, and a lot of other friends of my father, and they always were, for me, there were this this link to another world. Like Urona has helped me a lot of times with my sari. If I'm moderating Diwali festivities now in Hamburg, I didn't even know how to put the sari right. So I was quite dependent on the people here who have Indian roots and friends of the family.
Nice.
They were India for me.
Of course, great. I was intrigued to ask you, at the early part of your life, when India was introduced to you and you started and knowing, you were asking a lot of questions to your father and mother. What is it? How it looks like? You wanted to go to India. Why you are not taking me to India? Or
Yeah.
how intrigued were you that how you are waiting on the wings, let's say, to go to India and see where your father is coming from?
Can you repeat the question in German? I don't know if I got you right.
Nein, ich habe gefragt, ob das du so interessiert war, dass du dann irgendwie ungeduldig, dass irgendwann musst du nach Indien, wo dein Vater,
Yeah.
dein Vater war und wo er ist geboren, welche Städte und so weiter. Warst du so ungeduldig?
Yes, I was very keen on knowing it because we couldn't. I mean, you know, in the 70s, flying and traveling was quite expensive. So it was not like today, where everyone could just go and fly. My mother was a student when I was a kid, so and later on she was a teacher. But as children, it was out of. My father went every 4 years to India to see his mother and his family. But we came there when I was 20, and I'm a young mother. And but I said, I want to go now. I know I have a little baby, and most people would say, oh my God, I'm not traveling with a baby to India. But I just thought we have to do it. And she should also get her roots there very, very early. But when we arrived then in Kolkata on the airport, we went outside the airport, and for the first time in my life, I was confronted. Let's not say poverty, but different lifestyles. And I came out of the airport. I had my big whitish baby on my arm. And there was a young girl standing just in front of me, begging, having a baby almost naked on her arm. And I kind of felt so ashamed for my white baby because I thought, well, how can I travel here having everything and imagining that you have so little? But after a week, I understood that my Western view of the situation was not right, because my father showed me to see the differences. Because as Westerns, when we come to India, we have the feeling there's a lot of the social. We don't have a proper. We can't really differentiate sometimes between the different social backgrounds, and this girl probably was quite happy, and for me it was a big lesson to learn how to get oriented, because I wasn't there as a child. Also with my family, with my grandma, the house, having a maid. I thought, why do we have a maid? Why is someone cooking for us? So simple questions, and I couldn't speak with my grandma because I only spoke English, and my grandma spoke Bengali. So we first just touched and smiled, and my father was translating because he wasn't allowed to speak Bengali with me when I was a kid. He started, but at that time bilingual education was not common. And a professor in Kiel told him that he should stop speaking Bengali to me, otherwise I would not learn to speak one language properly. So he stopped.
But
and today he says
I think
that was the biggest mistake.
On this point, do you think it is different? Because I know now today, I'm pretty sure your own daughter probably maybe learns 3-4 languages now, or something like
I
that.
know.
You yourself, we all know that our Indian diaspora,
Absolutely.
many of the kids, they speak, for example, Bengali or Gujarati, and then Hindi, and then German, and then French.
Absolutely.
Not, you know?
Absolutely, you're absolutely, and that's why my father today says, "Oh my God, that was the biggest mistake that we stopped it." And because now you have really trilingual so many children, and even in India at that time, children were learning English and their mother tongue and Hindi, and I don't know, but it was in Germany since people didn't have much experience with it. Unfortunately, my Bengali is quite. Yeah, there's a lot to improve, let's say.
But maybe you can tell for us maybe a sentence or maybe a two you can sing, because you are so gifted having you are such a wonderful father. Yeah, maybe 2 lines.
Bala, you're quite shocking me now. Sing, oh my God. Alo ama alo yogo alo ridoi hora. And now I stop.
So what does it mean?
That was
for a layman like me who do not know Bengali, you have to explain.
Please ask my father.
Okay, that's a charming answer. Good. So coming back to the music, because music is something, it's always fascinating. It's something, it's something just absorbs people and just gets relieved of many things. And people, even we have medical therapy just of music and many, many things. So I know that your father, being a fantastic singer, is a really soulful singer. So even today, at that point of time, even if you don't understand the words of the music, but still you are absorbed into the music, and especially you. I know that you were a Tagore fan, great Rabindranath Tagore fan. How was it like, and what is that is so much fascinating for you from this great legend?
Well, he was, as I learned much later, he was the first Asian person to win the Nobel Award for literature. I think it was 1913, 14. I don't have the year now precisely. For me, to me, he means so much. For me, he is the voice of India, of my father's India. Because when I came to India for the very first time, as I just told you, I was kind of, I had to get used to everything. But the moment I heard I think it was on a train station, out of the speakers there came music. And I knew the song. I had heard the song so often, and I was like, this feels like home to me. And then we traveled with a train to my cousins who live in Shantiniketan, which was Tagore's town, where we have his university, his schools, his ideas are present everywhere. And then my family started singing, and they make a lot of music. And I immediately felt at home. I felt like I almost cried, because I thought, I'm thousands of kilometers away from home, but I feel like home. And that's what he means to me. He just speaks directly to my heart, even if I don't understand every word. But I can relate to it, because it was my father sang at home a lot, all the time. He was singing when he was cooking, when he was doing the washing, he was doing when we were he was singing when we went outside. So the sound it's in my DNA.
Yeah, great. I think that's a nice part you said, DNA. And what it impressed me was actually, Julia, I have to be very honest, that when you entered Kolkata, when you just arrived fresh, when you saw that women, and then later you really realized that you are wrong in understanding India in that way, because it was a first impression for you. But then later, of course, once you went into the family home and meeting, and then your father took you to different places and also met with different people, then you understood it's not that just when you see just once you take up that impression. Rather than India is a very complex, diverse, and very much different culture. So it takes time for someone to understand India. Actually, you should not jump to a conclusion just by visiting one place or one just a family or so to make an impression out of it. So I'll coming to one more point before we just take a short break so that people can get back to you. One thing I want to know, Julia, how many times have you traveled to India in the last, after you were, let's say, when you are 20 years, when you went to India after 20 years, and then now, how long you have been there?
I think it must have been around 15 to 20 times. Once a year normally. I traveled.
Okay.
As not immediately after this time,
Right.
because my children and my daughter was growing, and
Right.
my son was there, and for some years we didn't go because I thought it's not so easy to explain to small children that you can't
True.
run around everywhere and a lot of traffic. But later on, then I went every year. And I also worked there as a journalist
Right.
on some topics.
Yeah.
And with a friend of mine, it's really pure accident that my early friend, I told you, Andrea, she was born in India and came to Germany. And another friend of mine later on in secondary school, she was my closest friend, and she I didn't have contact with her for 10 years. And then I found out that she married an Indian, Sudhir Kaka.
Yes.
Some people may know him. And she was then my new second, I don't know, in German you say anchor.
Yeah.
I don't know what is it in English. My second anchor in India. And she's in Goa now. And she did a lot of social work and projects. And we still have a school that we support. But through her, I'm in constant contact also with India and through my family. So I think about 20 times probably, or even more. I haven't
Great.
counted.
No, of course, it's not about just numbers. Just to want to know how thing was in the continuity basically. So thanks a lot, Julia, for that. I think it's the first part basically to for us to understand how it was for you from the early childhood and how you grew. So beloved audience, so maybe you can switch off your face on your faces. So some of you might want to interact with Julia on some of the points which probably I have not touched upon. So because as I said, we don't want to go through monotonously, and we both are speaking. We could have done it also in the otherwise. So I think it will be nice that some points could be you think probably we can touch upon. So please go ahead. Sir, please.
Okay. So first of all, Ms. Sen, that I'm so happy that I share my, the year of birth with you. So good thing.
Oh, do you? Oh, great.
Okay. So we don't talk this year, but if audience paid attention, then they should know it. And about a child which like born here and had gone to India after 20 years. So that was a different experience altogether. And I can really, relate it to my children, because my son born in Africa, and then my daughter born in India in 2.5 months. She had been with us in different countries. So, but I was really surprised that the teachers here told you not to speak Bengali or other language at home. We, the Indians, are multilinguals. And
yeah, I know.
So I think it is in our DNA to learn at least 4 languages. Most of the Indians who are here in Germany, they know 4 languages, like of course English, mother tongue, Hindi, and they start learning German. And the same with our children. And like me, I started Rajasthani, Hindi, English, then Arabic, and then Sinhala, and then French, and a little bit of German. German. So we made a khichdi sort of, but it's a really good to hear the perspective and what you think about India when you go on the first impression. And then I like that after reaching home and seeing and talking to your grandparents, and then you know that no, the first impression of what you saw at the airport was wrong. Exactly, that is the message I really like, that a foreigner, when they go to India, they should not get carried away by the first impression. They should know India better through the books, through reality, not to jump on conclusion. So I really like that message, and I really thank you for that, that you really shared the realities, because you are in media, and we know that it's people, that was the time people say snake and ladder, and the cows on the road, and that's what the Western media depicts. Though it's changed now, a lot of things are changing, and people really saw the modern development, etc. So thank you for that. This language, I think we should respect and learn other languages also. And
the thing about languages, that was it was not my teacher, but it was a professor who spoke to my father at that time, and it was 67, in the year 67. And I think people in Germany, the academics, really had no experience with it. They should have asked the Indians, who had much more experience at that time, even with several languages. But unfortunately, they didn't decide.
That is what I like. Yeah, when I talk to, because my job is to interact with so many persons as a diplomat, and I found that the one who learned more languages in Germany, they have been the one who have gone out of Germany and traveled around the world, and they have varied experience, and even had business with countries like India and other countries. And the one who just stick to German, then they have less outings and other things. But I'm happy about the new generation who are in Germany, especially the one who are like 45 and below, and especially the one who's 20 to 35. They are, they know the culture, the geography, the politics, and they respect the multiculturalism. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but that also,
thank you very much for that.
Thank you. But I think that also has to do with the internet, because when we were kids, we didn't have pictures from the other parts of the world. Whereas today, I mean, you can be at several places in the world at the same time via Zoom, for example. So I think the internet it's a huge step towards being more in different countries, different languages, to see the world more globally.
Yeah, true. But if you just talk about India, then when there is no internet, even then we used to like to read about, in class 5, we used to read about what it is by default that I came to foreign service. But in like 75, 77, 80s, we used to like play games like which country has which capital, which geography, which river is in which country, and which language they speak to. That Indian knowledge and knowing and knowing more about other countries is like, again, it's maybe it's in DNA, they are more migrant, immigrant friendly. They want to go abroad and explore, though the financial things are there. So I think I'm really happy to know and what you said about it. So over to you, Bala. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. Thanks. Bala?
Yes, I think I am. Yes, I'm audible. So I was requesting Sadhana and Bob, would you like to maybe point one or other things with Julia? Would you like to take up something?
Hi, Julia. This is Sadhana.
Hi, Sadhana.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I am regular follower of Hamburg Journal, and yeah, and till today I knew you as a journalist, as a very fine journalist, but today I got this opportunity to know about you more as a person, not only as a journalist. So this is great opportunity, and yes, I thanks to Bala also, and yeah, I am very curious to know more about you, and till now it was very interesting whatever you told about yourself. And I also have Bengali friends, and this Rabindra Sangeet, it's very beautiful, and I also very big fan of Rabindra Sangeet, and whenever they play, I don't understand either, I mean completely, but yes, how it sounds, how melodious it is. So it's really very, very soothing and very calm music. So yeah, that's thanks letting.
thank you, Sadhna. Can you tell me 2 sentences about yourself, where you are from, and you live in Hamburg and watch our Hamburg Journal?
Yeah, so I watch Hamburg Journal. So yeah, I am basically from India, I mean from UP, northern part of India. I did my PhD from IIT Bombay and in Mumbai, and then I came here with my husband Rajneesh Tiwari. You might know him, I don't know. Yeah, so then here I am working as researcher, senior research fellow at TU Hamburg.
At TU Hamburg, what kind of research do you do?
So I work in the area of bio-nanotechnology, related bio-nanotechnology with, I mean, how you club this frugal innovation in bio-nanotechnology. So more on nano and biotechnology area.
Okay.
And yeah, so in my PhD, I will tell very little about, in brief, about my PhD. So in PhD, I developed a paper-based platform for cardiac diagnosis. So this is the area, like diagnostic and
cardio for like heart.
Like
cardio
heart.
diagnosis. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
Cardiac arrest and these kind of.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sadhana. And I'm pretty sure Julia is in cloud 9, so she has an ardent fan of Hamburg Journal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I admire what you do, Sadhana, because I'm not very good in Naturwissenschaften. How do you say in English?
Yeah.
So my favorite subjects were languages and music, but if it came to math or chemistry or physics, yeah, I admire people who could do it just very easily, like you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So, Bahumuk, would you like to speak something?
Yes, actually,
please,
hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, I am Bahumuk Prem Kumar, and it's very good to know you in person. And now I'm feeling very much motivated to read your journals in Hamburg Journal and others. Yes, I would like to know, you have achieved a good position in your career. So I would like to know, which was the toughest part in your career and how did you tackle and overcome it?
Oh my Lord, that is a difficult question, because as you know, maybe now I'm working in front of the camera, but for more than 10 years I was working behind the camera. And I have to say that is also a very, very tough job, and I admire all our reporters who are out in town every day. And I also moderate the Weltbilder, which is a program on foreign affairs. I admire our correspondents everywhere in the world, because to go out to find the right people on the streets to interview, to shoot a documentary sounds always so easy, but I had it was quite hard to do that, and that was a big challenge before I went in front of the camera. To do good research, and sometimes I when my children were in bed, I went back to the office. I looked at all the stuff that we shot. I tried to make a list to go into the editing room. To writing good texts is also not easy. There were, I think, every day there was a challenge. If you ask about challenges or what is the biggest challenge, it's not so easy to say. And when I was in front of the camera, I found it quite difficult. And the first times I did live shots, I had big fear of the big black hole, as we say. That you have blank space while talking. But time after time, if this hole ever appears, you just have to improvise. And people always think that these are my Indian roots, that I like improvising. But I think it's also in Germany, you need a lot of improvisational. Please translate, Bala. Improvisationstalent.
Okay.
Talent of improvisation. Yeah, this word doesn't come out of my mouth now,
Okay, yeah.
and I can't improvise it. Yeah, but I think the biggest challenge for many people is to let go of what they have on mind, how perfect things should be. I think if you want to do everything perfect, you already have lost. Mistakes are not only there, but you learn from them, and with every mistake you grow, and that's what I think is a challenge which you can overcome every day, or you can learn from it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Julia. Thanks so much, Bahmuk. I think we will get back to that on that. So let's move on. Julia, I have a few things before we go to the media part, because it would be also interesting. None of us here, at least I would say, have been in the media actually, because sometimes people do not know how actually even the 10 minutes of a program, how much effort and how difficult it is to get to that 10 minutes. You know, even if you take Tiger Show, it's just a matter of 15 minutes, but I'm pretty sure from the morning till evening, thousands of people are working to make sure that 15 minutes comes to the TV. So that we will come back, but then still little bit in India itself. For example, you went for a cousin's marriage, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So, and you also went to take a documentary, let's say, about that event. You have wanted to cover the event very nicely and to see how it was. So I have 2 points. One is generally about the event itself, how fascinating it was, and what are those things that it was absolutely for you, something that still you have it in your eyes regarding the marriage and all those things. And in terms of food also, you can tell us what are those food or still special food that, you know, you still, let's say, have that always all-time favorite, but also on the other side, how it was actually for you in terms of that marriage per se, and also that coverage and, you know, that whole journey. How was it experienced? Can you just help us go through that now?
Yeah. Well, this came up, my Weltbilder-Redaktion, you know, I told you the Auslandsmagazin every Tuesday at 11:30 p.m., quite late, just half an hour before midnight. I'm presenting this program. And one time, it was in 2014, I said, well, in February, I need someone for 2 shows to substitute me, because I go to India to my cousin's wedding. And the Redaktion, the editor, said, well, wouldn't that be interesting for the German audience to see how an Indian wedding, how does it go? And then I said, yeah, and maybe what I find really interesting is that I have 2 cousins. One of them, she married, it's a love marriage, and the other one had an arranged marriage. And from a German point of view, arranged marriage sounds, let's say unusual or very historic in like centuries ago. So they said, yeah, interesting. So why don't you ask them if you're allowed to go and film it? So my cousins are quite shy persons, or let's say humble persons. And they were not in the very first moment. They didn't say, yeah, come and we show you everything. But they, I think they wanted to make sure that everything is just, that there won't be, that I won't intervene into these really special rituals. You all know, like Indian weddings are, with the priest and the other family, the family of the groom coming into your house, and you all know these things. But then I went to India with a German cameraman and a little team, and it was the cameraman, the whole time he told me, Julia, it's now 10 minutes, you said next point is this and this, when will it take place? And I said, I suppose in the next 10 minutes, half an hour, I asked my cousin, so when will this happen? Because my cameraman is waiting with this heavy camera there. Yeah, 5 minutes. Egg minute, mostly egg minute. So egg minute was mostly 1 to 2 hours. and since it was my first Indian wedding, where I was as a guest, I was also quite surprised how long the whole procedure, the whole days, how long it all takes, and everything was so super beautiful. And when it came to this thing about love and arranged marriage, also there, Mr. Consul General, I had to put a new filter on my lens through which I looked at this, because the first time when I heard arranged marriage, I was like quite shocked. I thought, oh my God, I thought she was forced to marry someone. And to be honest, probably in a lot of cases, maybe women are forced. I wouldn't say that is never the case, but you know that the concept of an arranged marriage in India is just pretty normal, not like here. And then I said, yeah. So how do you choose? Who chooses? Yeah, my mother. She looked on the internet. I said, she looked on the internet? Not even someone you knew? No, we have, Samadhi, what's the name of this? Samadhi.com? Shadi.com. Yeah, it's an internet portal. And as I learned from, I asked a lot of people and I said, is it about caste? No. There's always caste, no bar. It's written there. And I said, well, maybe it's about caste. And then, as you know, in Indian last names, you can see the caste. Like I'm a Sen, and at least people know at least what kind of social background you had in maybe 50 years ago. And so her future husband has the same last name. He's called Sen as well. And then at first I thought, okay, so are you related? No. This is pure chance. And so her mother contacted the father of a potential groom, and they arranged everything. They were invited, and they were allowed to meet each other separately before the marriage, and they got to know each other slowly, just very slowly. And at some point they said, yeah, it clicks. We are the ones who want to be together. And I found it so it was really impressive how they arranged in a double sense with each other and the families. And a friend of mine, she's 70. She had an arranged marriage when she was a young girl. And she told me, in love marriages, it is, you meet someone, it's very hot, and then it cools down. And she told me when we met, it was quite cool. But the longer we stay together, the warmer our relationship becomes. And I like this this metaphor. Her metaphor was, I think, a frog in a pot or something, in a cold pot, and it gets warmer and warmer, and you kind of, I don't know. What I want to say is that also looking at marriages and the culture, the longer and the deeper I looked into it, it changed a lot from my Western perspective that I had before. Although I think I interviewed also some girls in a village, and well, actually, as you know, there are families where it's important how big the dowry is, or there are girls who have arranged marriages that they were not so keen on. But the whole concept was new to me, and I learned a lot through my cousins, and thanks to my cousins that they shared their experiences with me.
Right. Thanks a lot, Julia. Of course, I mean it's always there when you look at a larger picture. There is always there are different kind of structural issues at different places, and I think the overview is pretty positive in terms of understanding. That is very important. Moving on to that, we heard also actually you have shown a heart to India in terms of helping some organization you have founded together with some friends, and also it was in India, but also you have also in Ladakh actually supporting some schools actually. So it's very, very nice to hear that, but I just got the signal on that, but maybe could you elaborate what was the motivation and how these projects are? So I know it's nice to know.
So as I mentioned before, a friend of mine who I went to high school with in Germany, she married an Indian, Julia-Niharika. And she was always, when we were teenagers, she already, I don't know if you can say that in English, sie hat meinen Sinn geschärft für soziales Engagement. She sharpened my eye for social responsibility. She was our Klassensprecher, the speaker of the whole class, and she always initiated projects in Germany. Katharina Kaka is her name. And then by pure chance, she married the English psychoanalyst Julia-Niharika, and they went to Goa. And when she was there, she's an artist, she said, well, I can't just sit around and do my arts. I have to share art, making art with children around me. And she started a lot of arts workshops for also for children from that were not so socially privileged. And her idea was through creativity to give them a voice. So they could express themselves through telling stories, through drawing, not just drawing what was the patterns that were already there, but to open their heart. And there we had a lot of volunteers who did really great work from Germany, there from India. There are a lot of people running the Indian office and helping, and we did a lot of workshops there. She did it, and for many years. We have at the moment we're not doing anything like that there anymore, but for years now we've been supporting the Yam school in Ladakh, in Leh. And my friend, she's a Religionswissenschaftlerin, so a scientist on religions, and she has met the Dalai Lama several times and got in contact with Buddhist monks in Ladakh. And years ago, they asked her, can you help us to build a school for all the children from remote villages so that they can get an education? And that's when the Buddhist monks started it. And the Dalai Lama still is the chairman, the head, at least ideally, but they desperately needed sponsorship for the children. So we started, we have a little Verein in Germany, so where we can help the school to get sponsorship, Patenschaft, as you say in German, for the children there. And it's so, my friend travels there almost every year to see the children, or volunteers go there and they do pictures, they follow the how do you say, the process of the children, and it is really inspiring to see what they've put up. They have put up a boarding school now where the children can stay because the paths are just too long. At the moment it's Corona crisis, so Unfortunately, the children had to go back to their home villages. But as soon as the crisis is over, they'll come back and they go back to school. And it's amazing the progress the children experience there.
Great. I mean, have you personally been to Leh or Ladakh?
Me, no. I have been to Goa a lot of times, and I always wanted to go with Kata, how I call my friend, there, and she has invited me a couple of times. But since through my programs here, I can never go really long away because I have the Hamburg Journal every second week. So normally if I go to India, I go to Kolkata, to Shantiniketan, to Goa. And then to Leh is just the one point I until now have not ich habe es noch nicht geschafft, but
maybe at some point of time
I want to
when
go.
you have your own time, maybe in another 40 years, 30 years, whatever. And then I think it's one of the
I will go there definitely.
Beautiful place in the world, I would say, Leh and Ladakh, and it's
really
fantastic. And
okay,
yes,
I have to go.
It's one of the, I mean, mesmerizing. Scenery, and also the people are so warm, and it's really a beautiful, beautiful place. Okay, let's.
If there are people who want to donate or have a Patenschaft for a child in Leh or Ladakh, just please write to me, send me an email, and we would be happy to have more sponsors because more children could be supported with the Yam Yam.
That's very, so maybe after this event, maybe you just can drop a mail, which we can then officially send it also to the consulate.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Julia, for that. And maybe I'll just take a few minutes for the audience, so that if they want to, because there are some very interesting things you have actually gone through in the last block. So maybe some of them would like to take up one or other points. So I'd like to open up to the audience. So if you would like to, ask something to Julia, please do so for the next 5 minutes or so. We can take time. So who would like to start? Sir, please go ahead.
Okay. So Ms. Sen, that you had gone to India when you were 20 and you have a young mother, you were a young mother, and again then after you matured enough, then you had gone there 15-20 times, different places, especially Kolkata, Goa and other places, and you also have a foundation, the philanthropic work you are doing. So you have a quite exposure to India as far as a media person, as a person of Indian origin, having an Indian father and upbringing of both German and Indian. So as a German, not as a person of Indian origin, but as a German, what exactly fascinates you about India? Some positive things which really you feel and you get excited to go to India, or even to know more about it. Something which really fascinates you about India.
Oh my God, where should I start? And if I say it now, I mean it in many different meanings. It's the warmth of the people, the warmth of the colors, the warmth of the earth. I mean, the people are what make the people are. If you travel to Spain or Italy or Sweden, it's the people that make the country. There's the landscape on the one hand, but to me, the people in India, and India is not just one country, as we know. I mean, it's nations, many nations together. And so peoples of India, one would have to say. There's such an openness. People ask you, so it's getting in contact with people is so easy. They're so interested. I mean, I love being on public transport. I love taking the bus in Kolkata, where everybody says like, did you take the bus? And I say, yeah. And I sit next to the driver and I start talking to him. And I talk to everyone on the bus. If it's the women or the men or the children, I mean, you do that when you travel. That's easier, sure. But for me, it's also people are very, maybe the way I speak to them, but very honest on what they share with me, and they're inspiring. In Calcutta, I met so many people from different social backgrounds, and especially in Bengal, where my father's from, I'm so impressed by the cultural, how do you say, Reichtum. Wealth is the wrong word. My cousins, they're all either singers or playing an instrument. They can recite poems, where I think, oh my God, in Germany, I don't know so many people who are, or they are very educated. In Germany, if you can do all this, you are either very educated, but I have the feeling, and they have it in their blood. Everybody's singing. I mean, they sing on the, as I told you, on the train station. When I'm there and I'm hearing the sound of Tagore out of the speakers on the platform, I think just what a warm country. And the cultural richness is, I think, what comes to my mind first. That's what I love a lot. And I mean, to speak of the many different religious rituals. I mean, I'm not a Hindu, and I'm baptized Christian, confirmed, but it's not that I have firm religious rituals. So what I like about India is the respect people have if it comes to the religion of others. So if for example, we stand in front of a temple, I have the feeling that even if it's not holy to me, it's holy to someone, and I respect it. And there are Feiertage, how do you say Feiertage? Festive days, festive holidays for everyone, for at least that's my impression, for the Jains, for Muslims, for Christians, different deities, Hinduistic deities. So I love the respect that whatever you believe in, it's holy for you, and that's what I respect it, and that's something I really admire, and that gets to my heart.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, and thank you very much, sir, also for that point. I think it was very nice. So let's move on, Julia, to the final part, and I feel it's as we wanted to initially get through it slowly from that, and then so now in this part we would like to understand how did it came that you chose journalism, and what was that inspiration or motivation that to this field per se, and how it all started, and later once you could help us understand that, and then we can get to know more on how actually the media works, and also during the corona times, but also generally to understand, maybe for an example, one of your, let's say, event, maybe let's take Hamburg Journal, what all things actually goes into production of this let's say the show, and how long, and what are the people who are working on, what you have to do when you start, and then when you end, what are the processes. So that's also would be very interesting, because none of us are in that profession actually. Please go ahead.
Okay, so if I start from the point of why did I choose journalism? I didn't have that on my mind when I studied. I was trained to become. I studied to become a teacher, and but then in the end of my studies, I was very interested in journalism and in documentary making. And that's why I chose, after my exams, I first wanted to become an English teacher at Gymnasiale Oberstufe, which is what I was trained to. But during my studies, I already did a lot of jobs, also practica in journalistic institutions. And I chose it because it's in English, it's always a little difficult for me to express. What I find interesting and important, if I watch at the world, I wanted to share. And I'm a very curious person, so I am interested in many things, in current affairs and things that happen around me. And I found that journalism is, for me, the perfect way to express that. That's how I came to journalism. There wasn't this one moment, but it was a development. And a long time I did documentaries behind the cameras. I also, as I told you, in India, I did several reports for our programs. And then only after that, 10 years after I started doing that, I changed from working behind the camera to in front of the camera. And if you look, for example, what you asked, how much work is it to do, for example, the Hamburg Journal? If you've watched the show, you see that I have like 10 little 10 moderations that we write ourselves, we as anchors. But the reporters who go and shoot the pieces, if it's political, if it's social, if it's on arts, they work very long. Sometimes the day before they shoot it, they go to the editing room, they do the research even before. So it's quite doing the reports is quite anspruchsvoll. Oh my God, the word is not coming to me at the moment. It's quite an
adventurous.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, and for us as moderators, we have to give the on the one hand the additional information to the pieces. But we also have to make you as audience curious. We have to tell you in our own words why you should be interested in knowing something about Elbvertiefung, for example. Why should you know that? Why should you be interesting? What does it have to do with your life, with your everyday life? So just to give you an example, then I call the reporter while he's in the editing room and asking him what is in your piece, what information he cannot transport that I can transport. Is there something surprising that people maybe don't know? Is there some investigative research that everyone might be interested to know that we can share now, but we couldn't share before? So you read the papers. We as moderators, we come to the Redaktion around noon, and we have a conference, and we get to know the topics of the day. The Redaktion, the editors, they choose the topics. It's not us. But we then start to inform ourselves on what is on the show today, which reporter is where shooting at the moment, when do they come back to the editing room. We have guests, interview guests in our studio, the mayor, senators, scientists, artists. We have almost every day we have an interview that we prepare, and if they say you have a 3-minute interview, that sounds so little, but it's much more complicated to do an interview in 3 minutes, because you have to have everything that you think should be said in this small amount of time. And you have to really, if it's a confrontative interview, so if there's someone you really kind of, you want to confront him with an information. It's very, very difficult if you only have 3 minutes or 2.5. Sometimes we only have 2.5 minutes, but it's a challenge, and it's a lot of fun is maybe the wrong word, but it's very, very interesting. So I absolutely love my job.
I'm pretty sure it's fun in a positive way, though it's a challenging one for sure. Otherwise, you would not be doing this for so many years now, I'm pretty sure. So I think something has to, because every day going through a stress and challenging job, I think some point of time nobody would like to do it. So I think there is something that is really, attracting you and bringing it back again and again. So that's why even if it is so challenging, you still would like to do that. And especially in terms of Corona times, what has actually changed? What are the challenges right now compared to the normal Hamburg Journal you would be hosting, let's say, every day, but suddenly during Corona times, what are that special challenges that you had to go through?
Oh my God. In the beginning of the pandemic, there were a lot of challenges. For example, but it's still, if you interview people, even in our studio, we have to keep the distance between us and the interviewee. In the Corona pandemic, normally where our reporters go to people's houses, they interview them there, or they look at what they're doing. And with all the hygiene things, it's very difficult. Our camera teams cannot travel together like they did before. Even in the maske where we get our makeup, there are a lot of, they have to put on masks. We have little windows between us, even in the office, between the desks. So there's a lot of hygienic rules. But it's also, if we look at politische Berichterstattung, so what's going on politically, most of the topics that were important in non-pandemic times have been put into the background because it was crisis management all the time. So that was a time. When the show was quite monothematisch, you could say. It's still, I mean, there's so many things still linked to this Corona topic. But nonetheless, or even in this, especially in these times, I think that öffentlich-rechtlicher Rundfunk, public
broadcasters,
has is very important. It's very important because people rely on us, and we can see it in the amount of viewers for Tagesschau, for Hamburg Journal, for our information programs. People send us emails and they say thank you for giving us information we can rely on.
Great. So let's have a few more minutes, and then the last block of questions can come in. 2 points I would like to raise. One is, what was your very favorite feedback that you got for your Hamburg Journal when you started? Now, I mean, you are a professional, you are something, but when you came for the first time, you made the show. Do you remember still when the first time you entered the studio and that's your first show, how it was, and after you finished, what was the feedback?
There's an anecdote I can tell you. My boss then, the one who offered me the job, was a woman, Maria von Welser. She's quite well known. She moderated herself. I think it's a program called was it Frau TV? I think so. Well, she's quite well known, Maria. And if you listen. A big hello to you. Well, she got me the job, and since I'm a person I always think things can be improved even in the very last minute. That's wie sagt man das? Es ist ein Vor- und ein Nachteil. It's something that's very good because until the end, until 30 seconds before the show, I tried to improve things, but well, in the first show I did on the Hamburg Journal, I was doing my show, and always if the reports were broadcasted, I was still rewriting my text, which I saw on the teleprompter. Then I still thought, no, it's not good enough. I have to hear a word more, and I have to change this. But I didn't know that my boss was in the regie, so in the room where she could see me. And after the show, she came to me, she gave me a big Blumenstrauß, and she said to me, that was really brilliant, but next time you prepare the show before the show, right? Because she saw that I was working all the time while we were broadcasting. I was still rewriting my text, and she just thought maybe that was a little too kurzfristig. That was the biggest compliment that she said. So it was really good, but next time you just do it before the show. I hope you could get what I tried to say. Bala, I can't hear you. I think you are
sorry.
stumm.
Yeah, I am muted now. Thanks a lot, Julia, for that. And before we leave the audience, we request the audience to get in the very last point. How do you see the media in Germany per se? How it was, let's say, when you started, and now in the last years? Do you see yourself development, not only in terms of technology, but in terms of the content that the people want to have, or the interests of the people? Maybe earlier it was different, or the relaxed way of people looking in. How do you see that?
Well, since I work in the media, which is for 20 years now, things have changed a lot. I mean, it has to do with social media. You can see news now everywhere. You can get news on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. The internet makes it possible, which on the one hand is really super good, because it's much more spontaneously. You can get a Facebook Live from some part of the world where there's a crisis. You can be there immediately. You don't have to we still send correspondents who do research and who check the facts, which is utterly important. But at the same time, you can get we influence the social media views. No, how can I say it properly? Social media influences us, and we as öffentlich-rechtliches Fernsehen, we try to transport our output also on different channels now. So that is quite a challenge, I think, because it's about being first. A lot of times it's about, you have to be very, very schnell. You have to be there. Just if it's the news the pace has improved so much, but still you have to take your time and check the facts. And I think that's a big challenge, and that's how a lot of media reporting challenges have grown. But still, I think it's a good development, because it also shows us we have to be more flexible, and handies have become important pieces of work now. I mean, it's not only if there's something happening and you say, please order a camera team, they have to go there, but maybe there's someone with a mobile phone. So, and we have the first pictures there after 10 seconds while something has happened. So I think, that's what has changed during the last 20 years in a very, very fast pace.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Julia. The very, very last, because I mean, you are bringing me into new things, to ask. Actually, the last thing is, in Germany, to my understanding, there is still not enough journalists in the media, which we can see in the public media, let it be Tagesschau or it's Hamburg Journal or something like that, people of different, at least one parent or origin. Let's say you are there, and I know Shakuntala Banerjee, these days, she's coming also quite often, and you have the Rangeshwar, we know very, very much, also, so those people who was doing Quark, which is
yeah,
a very,
Ranga
very famous
Yogeshwar, yes. And in NDR, there was Navina Sundaram. Maybe some of you still know her.
Still, it's not only about India, but just generally still not much. Is it there something to do with that part, or what is that? Still you see there is something more to be done, or people don't really see this as an opportunity. Still they see that sciences or they study, not venturing into the journalism, thinking that they also have an opportunity.
Well, to be honest, I have the impression that things have changed a lot. For example, in my in ARD Aktuell, where I also work for Tagesschau 24, there's Tarek Yusbashi, there's Mikhail Pavelets, there's Pina Atalay, there's Linda Zervakis, there's Ingo Zamperoni. I have the impression that that a lot of binationals are on the public stage now. And in Hamburg Journal, we have a lot of reporters with different cultural backgrounds and roots. You're right, most of them maybe do not have foreign roots, but I would say more and more it's just becoming normal. We don't speak about it anymore, but it's they become part of the journalistic world more and more. I have the impression that things are changing fast there. But if you say you don't,
it's very nice to see. I mean, as you said, it's become a normal. So I think that's a very, very good trend. I mean, if you don't really speak or think about it, then it's like normal. So I think that's what everyone want to go, So yeah. Julia, thank you very much. We are 8 p.m. and it has been a great pleasure and an honor to have had an opportunity to interact with you and get to know more. And not only me, there are many as well. But still, I think though it is 8, I would say the last minutes we will take for our beloved audience. So they would like to probably ask some of the points, because this is going to be to the last part of the interview. I have the Consul General Sir already raised his hand, so he's going to ask the first one. Sir, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Sen. Actually, the last session really prompted talking about the professional journalism and all those. I tell you the secret that in 1987, I was the print media journalist. Had I not been a diplomat, I would have been the journalist today. And I used to write for Dharmyug, the Saptahik Hindustan in India. Not many, but few poems, stories, and little short stories were published there that time. And I earnestly wished to be a journalist that time. But fate brought me to become a diplomat. So I have to forget about the journalism. So I have to forget about the journalism, but since a media person is before me, and I'm my diplomatic wishes, like that part is coming out. And as a diplomat here in western part of Germany, western part of the world, and especially the northern Germany, we always try to put the best part of India. Though being a diplomat, we always accept our shortcomings also, and our job is to always to bring the two nations together. But media plays a very great role in this, and media are our great friends. We try to cater to them, we make friends with them. So as a diplomat, my diplomat is asking that what we can do. You from as a media person, as a Western media person working for a visual media, what can be done to promote India, especially in the Western media, which I still feel that they are not doing that much good to India, bringing the development stories which we expect to be there. So, what is your advice to me as a diplomat, that, or what you would like to say, that how we can promote India here in the Western world? Thank you.
Bala, when you gave me the award, I was German Indian Person of the Year or something. What was the exact title of the award in 2018?
Champion of Indo-German Partnership.
Yes, champion. I still have the thing at home, and apart from me, one prize was given to, and maybe you remember her name. She was
Prajna Biwal. She's ambassador, works with the Bosch Foundation, right?
She works with the Bosch Foundation, and she organizes exchange of journalists between India and Germany. She invites German journalists to India. She brings them to the Times of India, to all the newspapers and channels. And I think this kind of exchange has to be immensified and fortified. I think India should not be afraid of reports. If you say we only look, or foreign correspondents only look at the things that don't work, I think the more you invite them, the less you say you only get a press visa if. The more you invite it, that they can report on anything, and they can get facts, they can interview anyone, they can ask critical questions. The more open the atmosphere is, the more likely it is that they discover all the stories that they can't discover like this. So I think emancipate the exchange between journalists and make political decisions more transparent to foreign journalists. I think that that would be very important. And if it comes to culture and religion, if you want that journalists leave this sometimes one-dimensional path, or then I think, people have to travel there more, surely. But I think it's also the communication. If it's transparent, if I as a journalist have the feeling, no matter what I ask, I get an answer, and even if it's an answer that I'm not expecting, but I can ask anything, and I think that improves maybe Berichterstattung that's not that's surprising, maybe also to you. Was it a good answer? I don't know.
No, it is on the expected lines from very expert journalist and a media person. Yeah, we try to do as much as possible to we have a policy also, like you already said, the Bewalkar, she did that, and we also do that. We have a division in our external affairs ministry. We have, of course, other PIB and other. There's an exchange, and there's a procedure for that, and we try to do. So I was getting something out of you, like what further can be done. So thank you very much for your very considered and very diplomatic answer. Though somewhere you are also very frank, but still you are a little cautious to answer this question. So I respect that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So I think maybe we can take one or two questions maximum. Anyone would like to? Yes, yes, please go ahead, sir. Yes, go ahead.
Namaste, Julia. So I have seen it was very interesting session with you, and So I myself, coming to my background, so my name is Kiran Kishore, and I'm from India, and I'm living here in Germany for the last 10 years. So I'm a consultant by profession, and as a part of my, as a kind of token to integrating, or as a kind of passion, I would say, I also run a magazine that actually bridges the India and German cultures. So, what is one suggestion that you would give to a news portal like us? So, where we focus mainly on the positive aspects of both India and Germany. So these days, it's like the all media channels are highlighting. I mean, to get popularity, they mainly highlight the negative news. So, do you think that taking this side of highlighting the positive aspects of culture and rich history will make it successful, or will it actually reach out to people and bridge this gap?
I'm sorry, I didn't get everything, and I can't see you on pictures. Do I see a picture of you?
Yes, Kiran Kishore. You can see
Kiran. No, I can't. Why can I not see Kiran? I'm looking.
You can just swipe it, and you can get a little swipe on the left hand side.
Ah, yeah. Now I can see you. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I had to swipe. Hi, Kiran.
Hi.
I couldn't get your question really good by sound. Can you repeat it to me in a short version?
Actually, right, Julia. Actually, what Kiran was telling is that he is also running a journal. Actually, in terms of bridges between India and Germany. So his point was they are looking at only the positive aspects. And they want to royally project only the positive aspects. And he thinks in the current times, a lot of negative aspects are being focused. So he says, is it the right approach to only project the positive aspects, and is it the right way to do it that?
I think there's no general answer to that. That depends on the one hand on your audience or your readers, what they're interested in, and there's a difference, I think, between a daily news program. So a lot of people, if we discuss about German broadcasting, there's always people who ask, why do you only report the bad news? But if you look at big news programs, but it's not about the bad news, it's about what people have to know. So this is not why we have a critical view on the Zeitgeschehen. But if you say you have if I don't understand, you have a journal, it's a print journal, or it's something else? Kiran, I think your mic is off.
Yeah, it's a news portal, Julia.
It's a news portal, but you only focus on the good news.
Yeah, mainly good news.
Can you send me a link? I would love to have a look at it. I mean,
sure.
I mean, I find it very interesting, and I'm very interesting, and I would love to see what you do. And but we, for example, in Hamburg Journal, we have a very different kind of. We have positive examples. We have portraits. We have hard news. So I think the mixture for a magazine like this is important. But it depends on the Gefäß, on the form, like what kind of news it is. Because your question was, is it good? If I understood you right, is it good to just focus on the good news? Maybe if you want to go just with a smile through the day, then I would say yes. And if I just want to relax, I'm looking at good news, good stories, interesting stories, stories that encourage people, and so I think I can't give a general answer to that. I would have to look at the news. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Julia. Thanks, Kiran. I think I would take very last question. I think the gentleman, I only see it as Mridangam 3579. So please go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is Mr. Lang. I'm on the national board of the Indo-German Association. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
And I'm the national board of the Indo-German Association. I'm a musician. I studied Indian music in Chennai. I have my bachelor and MA in Indian in classical Indian music. And I refer a little bit to the cultural aspects of TV and radio. Have you ever had the chance to cover a Indian cultural program in Germany or in Hamburg or Lübeck or Kiel?
Do you mean cover, like report on it?
Report, whatever. See, I have, my problem is all the radio stations, when Cologne, Frankfurt, Hamburg, 10, 15 years ago, they had all funds to record concerts and somehow pay a fee to the artist. Today, the only station left is Baden-Baden, who does maybe once a year. I can make a radio recording there. The rest is all closed down. Hamburg doesn't do anymore, and the TV also is not. I've Mr. Bala Subramaniam. He might know Dr. L. Subramaniam. Mr. Ramani, you're probably from South India, from
right. Of course, I think more than South, everybody in India knows him, or also abroad. Yes.
So he can tell you who Dr. Subramaniam is. I performed with him for the Menuhin Festival in Gstaad, in Brussels, in Berlin, at the concert house there. He's one of the world best, not only for Indian music but for classical music. He writes. Nobody takes it up here for the radio, for the TV or the radio stations. So there is a lack of interest. When I talk to radios or TV, the only two Indians we know is Mahatma Gandhi and maybe the movie actor. So the rest is not there for any German TV station or radio station anymore.
Yeah. To be honest, I have no answer. I have no answer to your question, because I do not have. I don't do any decisions on what is shown or what is not shown. But I know that, for example, for Hamburg Journal, I can just speak. We sometimes do. As you could say, special interest programs. We report on musicians from all over the world if they're here. But if the Redaktion sits together and they have to decide, they often have to have in mind what is our audience or our viewers, what are they interested in and what should they know. And we try to cover so many different aspects of the life here, the cultural life, so many nations who live in Hamburg. So it's not easy to record a whole concert and to broadcast it in these times where I talked about social media before, where the attention span of people is sometimes a minute, 2-3 minutes. So it's quite difficult, but we have programs still like Kulturjournal or Bücherjournal, but to record and broadcast a whole concert, you can do today, I think, in podcast form or in a reduced technical Aufwand form. In former times, I know you had a lot of technical equipment was needed to tape a whole concert. Today, you can do everything by smartphone, and I think the form one should use now is the podcast. The podcast has become a very important instrument for people who are interested in special kinds of music or artists. And I'm listening to podcasts all the time on politics, on music, everything. And I think this is the tool of the future, which does not cost a lot, but where you can reach the people who are interested.
Thank you. I think, Julia, thanks a lot. I think we have to end the program. I think it has been very, very fascinating. Thanks a lot, Julia, for the time, and the audience also. Thanks very much for your patience, though we exceeded the time, but I think for the good sake, we have a lot of information for today. And a big thanks to the Consulate General of India and the team. Mr. Parminder also, thanks very much for that, Consul General Sir, and Raja from India for taking up the web. And wish you all a good evening, and thanks, and see you in the next episode of Wednesday Dialogue Series. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you, Bala. Thank you,
Thanks.
Mr. Consul General. Thank you. Thanks to all of you.